Is anyone surprised? Please raise your hand. Everyone wanted more Ghosts of Tsushima. And you got something else. And they put activists in it. They said she was Antifa and all this other stuff. And right on the hotbed of people being irritated of all the DEI and all this other stuff and switching characters up. And there's no way in hell you could have thought that it was going to do as good or better than the first. There's no way. Well, official sales confirm Ghost of Yotei sales trail Ghost of Tsushima. The leaks were right. So I remember hearing people talking about this, and Sony usually comes out, they're going to brag about their child's accomplishments. I think every company should. If they're doing well, if something's doing really well, let people know it's doing really well. The point is to get more sales, right? Didn't happen like that. People began speculating. But, if you're paying attention, Sales of Ghosts of Yotei, the sequel to Ghosts of Tsushima, came in at 3.3 million units sold in its first month. That's about 16% fewer sales than the first game had in the same period, which is somewhat unexpected. Somewhat unexpected? This shouldn't be surprising, though, as these numbers leaked weeks ago. Let's see, it shows a post here from Grums. It says the gap is closing. Looks like Ghost of Yotei has grown from 2.6 million to 2.8 million accounts to 3.2 million. Tsushima leads at 3.8 million, but the gap has closed rapidly. It used to be as high as 25% overall, but is less now, around 16%. Yotei continues to pull in more money globally than Tsushima. Let me see here. I had to click more and it took me to Twitter. So now, I'm like, okay. Yotei continues to pull in more money globally than Tsushima. Parentheses, it has since the beginning by about 13%. That hasn't changed. And I posted this before. This is likely due to price increase and different price promotional campaigns. And I figured that. Overall, sales are fine under Tsushima account-wise, but ahead dollar-wise. Tsushima had a sales spike later in the year, in August, and it's possible Yotei will have a similar spike during the holidays. Physical sales are way down, as I've mentioned in the past and reported widely, up to 45% in the UK and Japan. But this is made up for by digital. But for a sequel, this is not usually what happens. When the first game makes it big, many don't know about it. By the time the second game comes around, people tend to hop on the bandwagon. Sony was probably expecting at least a 50% greater sales jump rather than 16% less than the original. That may change over the holidays. As always, the situation changes and evolves, and I will keep you posted. So that's what he posted there. On October 22nd, Mark Kern, a former Blizzard developer, better known as on X, as Grums posted, the gap is closing. Looks like good. Okay, so I just read all that. Many of the comments on the post challenged his accuracy, arguing that his numbers were either too high or too low, or that his only sources were Bigfoot and the Tooth Fairy. People always do that. We'll say, sources, trust me, bro. So when the video games news sites Gematsu published the official numbers a few weeks later, and they were basically the same, Kern took a well-deserved victory lap. It says here, bam! I was 100% dead accurate. My sources said 3.2 million and growing, and Ghost of Yotei official numbers are 3.3 million. I'm also accurate about it selling less than Tsushima in the same period, by the way. Those deranged Grums haters who said I didn't have the numbers can stuff it. They had nothing, and we're guessing. I'm right again. Journalists, zero, Grums, infinity, and beyond. Oh, man, people be going at it online. Okay, so Gematsu reports that in its first 32 days, Ghost of Yotei sold a respectable 3.3 million units. However, according to Sony, Ghost of Tsushima had sales of 3.8 million in its first month. It was a massive hit for Sony on the PS4 and for developer Sucker Punch Productions. The announcement of Yotei on September 24, 2024 was met with strong enthusiasm since its release. The game has scored a generally favorable 86 on Metacritic, while Yotei is doing very well. The 16% drop shows it has failed to build on any momentum from the first game. This seems to come as no surprise to Kern, who posted Yotei is underselling 16% so far. My sources have been proven completely right. Why the dip? Well, we all know the dip. Why the dip? The damn controversy. It's curious that Yotei has so far failed to match the popularity of Tsushima. No, it's not. However, Tsushima was released for the PS4 when there were 110 millions of consoles in homes around the world. It also came out in 2020 when most of the world was discouraged from leaving home. Conversely, Yotei is a PS5 exclusive, and as a August only, 80 million units had been sold. The newer game also retails for $70, which is $10 more than the original. Let's see here. There was also some bad press leading up to the game's release, which stirred talk of a boycott. After that, I think that's what it is. After a Sucker Punch dev took to Blue Sky and made a distasteful joke about the death of Charlie Kirk, the reports of the controversial creative decisions, a number of gamers questioned if they wanted to pre-order or support Yotei. Yeah, and then they were digging into, the main actress's profile, finding the Antifa quote, so that, I'm telling you, it put a bad taste in people's mouth. Plus, they wanted more Ghost of Tsushima, not Ghost of Yotei. Compared to other AAA games, Yotei has done very well this year. However, many at Sucker Punch are probably wishing that current sources hadn't been so accurate. A third game in the series is certainly possible, though nothing more than a multiplayer DLC has been announced. So it's doing well, but not as well as they wanted it to. Just like stuff like The Last of Us Part 2. You know what I'm saying? Although that was worse, right? Because it only sold about half of what the first one sold. I believe those were the numbers. Something similar to that. So that's, this one's only like 16% behind, right? So that's not bad. The game's doing good. It's just, but if they hadn't had all that damn controversy, putting all the bad taste in people's mouths, more people would have bought it. Hell, I would have tried it. But too many people were sending me stuff and showing. I was just like, I'm so sick and tired of all this. So I'm done. Yeah, man, I don't feel like playing the game. I'm done. Tired. Post your comments down below. Let me know what you all think. If you enjoyed what I had to say, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and share.